The first 30 seconds of a high-stakes interview will completely dictate the trajectory of your career. The CEO looks across the mahogany table, slides your resume to the side, and asks the 5 most dangerous words in the corporate world. Tell me about yourself. If you are an advanced English learner, you probably have a perfectly memorized, grammatically flawless summary of your past 10 years of employment. But here is the brutal truth of the C-suite. Nobody at the executive level actually cares about your history. They only care about their future. If you answer this question by reciting your resume like a standard employee, you will be evaluated and paid like a standard employee. To command executive power, you must introduce yourself not as a worker looking for a job, but as a visionary architect offering a solution. Welcome to part 1 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, the Executive Elevator Pitch. Let us set the scene. You are sitting in the final interview for a senior director position. The board of directors is testing you. They want to know who you are. If you rely on your basic English reflexes, you will shrink into the posture of a humble applicant and deliver this highly generic statement. I have 10 years of experience in marketing, and I want to help your company grow. Let us analyze the massive financial opportunity you just wasted. While perfectly polite and factually true, that sentence turns you into a completely replaceable commodity. Thousands of people have 10 years of experience in marketing. Furthermore, saying, "I want to help your company grow," sounds eager, but it lacks any strategic weight. You sound like a junior assistant asking for a chance, not a high-level executive ready to take command of a multi-million-dollar budget. You have failed to separate yourself from the crowd. Now, let us completely rewrite your professional identity. Listen to how an elite, C2 level executive handles the exact same opening question. You do not list your past jobs. You look the CEO directly in the eye, project absolute certainty, and define your own value. I am a strategic growth architect with a decade of experience driving market expansion, and I am here to scale your operations to the next level. Notice the breathtaking shift in power. You did not just ask for a job, you planted a flag in the ground and announced your empire. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this executive pitch so you can weaponize it for your own personal brand. First, look at the brilliant act of self-definition. I am a strategic growth architect. You completely abandon the basic corporate title of marketing manager. A manager simply maintains what is already there. An architect designs and builds massive structures from the ground up. By calling yourself a strategic growth architect, you instantly brand yourself as a high-level intellectual who creates blueprints for financial success. Second, consider the elegant phrasing of your timeline. With a decade of experience driving market expansion. A decade carries so much more psychological weight and prestige than 10 years. More importantly, look at the C2 verb driving. You did not say working in marketing, which sounds passive. You were driving the expansion. You were the engine. You define your past not by the department you sat in, but by the financial results you personally generated. Finally, look at the ultimate executive closer. And I am here to scale your operations to the next level. This is the exact vocabulary that venture capitalists and board members dream about. Basic English speakers use the word grow. Growth is linear. But scale is an elite business verb meaning to multiply revenue exponentially without equally increasing costs. You did not come here to just do a job. You came here to engineer massive, systematic expansion. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master the executive elevator pitch, your tone must be incredibly grounded, fiercely confident, and completely devoid of hesitation. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your chest open, lock your imaginary eye contact with the CEO, and repeat this masterclass in personal branding after me. I am a strategic growth architect. Let us do the second half, adding the heavy weight of your experience. With a decade of experience driving market expansion, now let us deliver the final, highly lucrative promise. And I am here to scale your operations to the next level. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. I am a strategic growth architect with a decade of experience driving market expansion, and I am here to scale your operations to the next level. Feel the undeniable, magnetic authority in that delivery. You did not just introduce yourself, you immediately took control of the entire interview narrative. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 branding framework into your reflex memory and prepare yourself for the dangerous moment they attack your weaknesses in part 2. The masterful pivot. Think about the exact second an interviewer or a venture capitalist discovers a hole in your resume. The room goes quiet, and they stare at you, waiting to see if you will crack under the pressure. When you are aiming for a C-suite position or pitching for a massive investment, they will ruthlessly test your weaknesses. If your professional vocabulary is limited, you will immediately begin apologizing for what you lack. But elite executives and visionary founders never apologize for a gap in their experience. They execute a psychological maneuver that transforms their biggest weakness into a lethal competitive advantage. If you want to learn how to instantly neutralize a hostile question and turn a perceived deficit into your most valuable asset, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to part 2 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, the Masterful Pivot. Let us set the scene. You are interviewing for a leadership role in a booming tech company, but your entire career has been spent in traditional finance. The board of directors is intrigued by your intelligence, but the chairman leans forward, folds his hands, and fires a direct shot. You have an impressive track record, but you have absolutely zero experience in our specific industry. Why should we hire you over an industry veteran? If you let imposter syndrome and basic English reflexes take over, you will immediately take a defensive, submissive posture. You might smile nervously and say, "I don't have experience in this industry, but I learn very fast." Let us analyze the severe damage you just did to your executive presence. While you think you are showing enthusiasm to a board of directors, you just sounded like a university student begging for an internship. "I don't have" forces the spotlight directly onto your deficit. Furthermore, promising that you learn very fast is a catastrophic downgrade in power. Executives and investors do not pay millions of dollars to watch you learn on the job. They pay for immediate, strategic execution. You just told them that hiring you is a massive risk. Now, let us completely rewrite the narrative. Listen to how a highly trained C2 strategist handles the exact same interrogation. You do not flinch, you do not apologize, and you absolutely do not beg for time to learn. You hold the chairman's eye contact, project unshakable intellectual confidence, and state, "While my background is in a different sector, the underlying mechanics of scaling operations are entirely transferable, allowing me to bring a highly disruptive perspective to this industry." Notice the breathtaking intellectual dominance of that response. You did not just survive the attack, you proved that the industry veterans they are interviewing are actually at a disadvantage. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this masterful pivot so you can weaponize it in your next high-stakes room. First, look at the elegant concession. "While my background is in a different sector." You do not use the negative phrase, "I don't have experience." Instead, you simply acknowledge that your background is in a different sector. This is a neutral, factual statement that acknowledges the elephant in the room without sacrificing an ounce of your authority. Second, consider the heavy, systemic vocabulary of the pivot. The underlying mechanics of scaling operations are entirely transferable. This is pure executive gold. You are telling the board that business is a machine and you are a master mechanic. Underlying mechanics proves that you see the deep, invisible framework of a business, not just the surface-level products. By declaring that these skills are entirely transferable, you are forcefully reminding them that true leadership is a universal currency that applies to any industry on Earth. Finally, look at the brilliant offensive maneuver, allowing me to bring a highly disruptive perspective to this industry. You just took the very reason they were afraid to hire you, your outsider status, and packaged it as an elite premium feature. Disruptive is one of the most coveted words in modern business. It means breaking outdated rules to create massive growth. You are subliminally warning them. If you hire an industry veteran, you will get the exact same stagnant results you have always gotten. If you hire me, I will disrupt your blind spots and change the game. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master this pivot, your tone must be intellectually sharp, deeply calm, and completely unfazed by the attack. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your chin parallel to the floor, project absolute certainty, and repeat this strategic deflection after me. Well, my back. K ground is in a different sector. Let us do the second half, shifting into the heavy, systemic authority. The underlying mechanics of scaling operations are entirely transferable. Now, let us deliver the final, highly disruptive advantage, allowing me to bring a highly disruptive perspective to this industry. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. While my background is in a different sector, the underlying mechanics of scaling operations are entirely transferable, allowing me to bring a highly disruptive perspective to this industry. Feel the bulletproof intellectual armor in that delivery. You took a direct attack on your resume and instantly turned it into your strongest selling point. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 pivot into your reflex memory and prepare yourself for the terrifying moment they ask you to confess your darkest professional failure in Part 3, owning the catastrophe. There is a psychological trap hidden inside every high-level executive interview, and it is specifically designed to make you destroy your own credibility. The interviewer leans back, smiles, and asks, "Tell me about your biggest failure." If you are striving for C-suite English, you already know that answering, "I am a perfectionist," is a tired, insulting cliché. But if you confess to a massive mistake using basic English, you will accidentally paint yourself as an incompetent liability. So, how do elite leaders confess to a disastrous project while actually increasing their perceived value in the boardroom? If you want to master the linguistic alchemy of turning a catastrophic failure into a showcase of absolute executive power, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 3 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, Owning the Catastrophe. Let us set the scene. You are in the hot seat for a vice president position. The CEO looks at your resume and asks you to describe a time when a major project failed under your leadership. This is the moment of truth. If you let panic and basic English reflexes dictate your answer, you will shrink your posture, look down, and offer a weak confession. "I made a mistake on a project and we lost money, but I learned to be more careful." Let us analyze the devastating blow you just dealt to your own executive presence. While you think you are showing humility, you actually sound like a junior employee apologizing for breaking a printer. "I made a mistake" is a phrase devoid of strategic context. It simply assigns pure personal guilt. "We lost money" triggers an immediate emotional panic in the minds of investors. And the conclusion, "I learned to be more careful," is a catastrophic downgrade in leadership. Being careful is a passive emotion, not a corporate strategy. You have convinced them that giving you a budget is a massive gamble. Now, let us completely rewrite the anatomy of a failure. Listen to how a highly trained C2 strategist performs a clinical autopsy on their own disaster. You do not show guilt, you do not use emotional language, and you absolutely do not beg for forgiveness. You maintain steady eye contact, project the cold logic of a surgeon, and state, "I oversaw an initiative that ultimately underperformed due to misaligned market projections. However, I completely overhauled our risk assessment framework, ensuring that systemic vulnerability was permanently neutralized." Notice the breathtaking intellectual dominance of that response. You confess to a failure, but the board is now looking at you as an elite crisis manager. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this strategic ownership so you can weaponize it in your own career. First, look at the brilliant opening. "I oversaw an initiative that ultimately underperformed." You do not say, "I made a mistake." By using the verb oversaw, you establish that you were the supreme commander at the helm, and notice the magnificent C2 verb underperformed. This is the clinical, emotionless way the C-suite describes failure. It removes the panic and shame of a disaster and replaces it with a cold, mathematical reality. Second, consider the diagnosis. Due to misaligned market projections. You are not blaming your team, but you are also not saying you were stupid. You are diagnosing a complex, high-level business error. Misaligned simply means the data did not perfectly match reality. It sounds sophisticated and highly analytical. Third, look at the aggressive action taken. However, I completely overhauled our risk assessment framework. Basic English speakers say, "I fixed it." An elite leader overhauls a framework. To overhaul means to completely dismantle a broken engine, examine every piece, and rebuild it stronger. You did not just learn a personal lesson, you built a brand new corporate shield. Finally, the ultimate executive closer, ensuring that systemic vulnerability was permanently neutralized. This is the exact vocabulary that Mac.'s investors feel incredibly safe. You identified a systemic vulnerability, a weakness in the very DNA of the company, and you neutralized it like a sniper taking out a threat. You proved that your failure actually made the company permanently bulletproof. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master the art of owning a catastrophe, your tone must be entirely devoid of shame, deeply analytical, and radiating unshakable authority. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your head high, project the calm certainty of a veteran leader, and repeat this strategic confession after me. I oversaw an initiative that ultimately underperformed due to misaligned market projections. Let us do the second half, shifting into the aggressive, systemic solution. However, I completely overhauled our risk assessment framework. Now, let us deliver the final bulletproof guarantee, ensuring that systemic vulnerability was permanently neutralized. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. I oversaw an initiative that ultimately underperformed due to misaligned market projections. However, I completely overhauled our risk assessment framework, ensuring that systemic vulnerability was permanently neutralized. Feel the cold, untouchable leadership in that delivery. You took the most terrifying question in the interview and turned it into proof that you are an elite architect of corporate survival. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 recovery framework into your reflex memory, and prepare yourself for the moment they ask you to predict the future in Part 4, the 90-day blueprint. In the final rounds of an executive interview, the power dynamic in the room fundamentally shifts. The board of directors stops asking about your past and suddenly demands to see their future. They will ask a question that instantly separates middle managers from true visionaries. What is your plan for the first 90 days? If you are an advanced English learner, you know the vocabulary to describe a transition period. But if you answer this question like a new student entering a school, you will instantly disqualify yourself from the C-suite. Elite boards do not hire executives to learn or observe. They hire them to execute and generate immediate return on investment. If you want to master the linguistic rhythm of a decisive, high-impact leader who takes absolute control from day one, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 4 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, the 90-day blueprint. Let us set the scene. You have successfully navigated the behavioral questions, and now the CEO leans forward, steepling their fingers. They look you in the eye and ask, "If we offer you the role of regional director, what exactly does your first quarter look like?" If you let your natural desire to be polite and cautious take over, you will rely on basic English reflexes. You might offer a safe, friendly response. "I will spend time meeting the team and learning how things work here." Let us analyze the massive lack of executive presence in that sentence. While it is practically true that you must meet people and learn the systems, stating it this way is a strategic disaster. Meeting the team sounds like a social event, not a business strategy. Learning how things work makes you sound passive and dependent. You are essentially telling the board, for the next 3 months, I will consume your resources, take up your time, and produce absolutely zero financial value while I figure out how to do my job. You have just defined yourself as a massive financial liability. Now, let us completely rewrite your onboarding strategy. Listen to how a highly trained C2 executive outlines their first 90 days. You do not ask for time to learn. You declare a state of immediate, high-level action. You look the CEO directly in the eye, project relentless energy, and state, "My first 90 days will be ruthlessly focused on auditing the current operational bottlenecks, aligning cross-functional teams, and executing high-impact quick wins to establish immediate momentum." Notice the breathtaking velocity and sheer executive force of that blueprint. You did not ask for a grace period. You promised a revolution. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this action-oriented pacing so you can weaponize it in your own interview. First, look at the brilliant opening modifier, ruthlessly focused. Basic English speakers say they will focus on something. Adding the C2 adverb, ruthlessly, completely changes your professional brand. It means you are absolutely merciless in cutting away distractions and time-wasting activities. You are a highly disciplined machine built for productivity. Second, consider how you replaced learning the company with auditing the current operational bottlenecks. You are not wandering around looking at thigh. NGS, you are performing an audit, a rigorous clinical inspection. And you are not just looking at the company in general, you are hunting for bottlenecks, the exact points of friction where the company is bleeding time and money. You have positioned yourself as a doctor diagnosing a disease. Third, look at how you replaced meeting the team with aligning cross-functional teams. You are not shaking hands and drinking coffee. You are taking disconnected departments, cross-functional, and physically forcing them to pull in the same strategic direction, aligning. It is a verb of absolute leadership and control. Finally, the ultimate executive closer. Executing high-impact quick wins to establish immediate momentum. This is the holy grail for investors and board members. A quick win is a highly visible, easily achievable victory that proves your competence immediately. By pairing it with the C2 noun, momentum, you are promising the CEO that the company will not slow down when you are hired. It will instantly accelerate. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master the 90-day blueprint, your tone must be incredibly decisive, highly energetic, and pulsing with forward motion. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your posture sharp, project the relentless drive of a CEO, and repeat this blueprint after me. My first 90 days will be ruthlessly focused on auditing the current operational bottlenecks. Let us do the second part, shifting into leadership and teamwork. Aligning cross-functional teams, now let us deliver the final, high-velocity promise, and executing high-impact quick wins to establish immediate momentum. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. My first 90 days will be ruthlessly focused on auditing the current operational bottlenecks, aligning cross-functional teams, and executing high-impact quick wins to establish immediate momentum. Feel the unstoppable, visionary velocity in that delivery. You did not ask for a job, you laid out a flawless blueprint for corporate dominance. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 action framework into your reflex memory and prepare yourself for the highest stakes presentation of your life in Part 5, the investor pitch. Imagine standing in a room where the people sitting across from you have the power to write a $10 million check, but their attention span is exactly 60 seconds. If you are aiming for C1 or C2 fluency, you must understand that the language of venture capital is an entirely different dialect of English. Investors do not care how much you love your product, and they are completely immune to basic sales pitches. If you talk about your business like a retail salesperson, they will immediately classify you as a small business owner, not a visionary tech founder. To secure massive funding, you must completely abandon emotional adjectives and speak in the cold, calculated mathematics of market dominance. If you want to learn the linguistic code required to unlock millions of dollars in venture capital, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 5 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, the Investor Pitch. Let us set the scene. You are standing at the head of a massive mahogany table. Sitting in front of you are 3 ruthless venture capitalists. They hear hundreds of pitches every single month. You have 1 minute to explain why they should pour millions of dollars into your startup. If you let your nervous energy and basic English reflexes take over, you will revert to basic consumer marketing. You might smile eagerly and state, "Our product is very good, and a lot of people will buy it because it's cheap." Let us analyze the catastrophic valuation drop you just caused. To a billionaire investor, that sentence is an absolute nightmare. Very good is a subjective, meaningless emotion. Saying "a lot of people" proves you do not actually know your total addressable market size, but the deadliest word in that sentence is cheap. In the high-stakes world of venture capital, cheap means a race to the bottom. It means terrible profit margins and zero competitive advantage. You just pitched a small, struggling business, and the investors are already checking their emails. Now, let us completely rewrite the anatomy of your pitch. Listen to how a unicorn startup founder commands the room using elite venture capital vocabulary. You do not talk about the price, and you do not talk about how good the product is. You lean forward, project the absolute certainty of an apex predator, and state, "We have engineered a highly scalable, proprietary solution that directly exploits a massive inefficiency in the current market, positioning us for exponential growth." Notice the breathtaking shift in scale. You did not pitch a product, you pitched an absolute financial empire. Let us meticulously dissect the linguist. Architecture of this million-dollar pitch, so you can weaponize it for your own business. First, look at the brilliant opening. "We have engineered a highly scalable proprietary solution." You did not make a product. You engineered a solution, which implies elite technical precision. More importantly, you hit them with the 2 most coveted adjectives in investing: scalable and proprietary. Scalable means you can double your revenue without doubling your costs. Proprietary means you own the intellectual property. You have built a legal fortress around your idea, and no competitor can easily copy it. You just promised them a money-printing machine that is legally protected. Second, consider the aggressive market strategy. That directly exploits a massive inefficiency in the current market. Venture capitalists do not invest in products, they invest in market corrections. An inefficiency is a flaw in the current system where time or money is being wasted. By using the C2 verb, exploits, you are telling the investors that you have found a massive crack in the global economy, and you are aggressively inserting your company into that crack to extract billions of dollars of trapped value. Finally, look at the ultimate financial promise, positioning us for exponential growth. Basic English speakers talk about growing. Linear growth is for traditional banks. Venture capitalists need companies that double, triple, and quadruple in size rapidly. Exponential growth is the mathematical term for a curve that shoots aggressively upward into the sky. You are promising them the ultimate return on their investment. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master the investor pitch, your tone must be incredibly sharp, completely emotionless regarding the product, and deeply passionate about the mathematics. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your posture dominant, project the intellect of a visionary founder, and repeat this multi-million-dollar pitch after me. We have engineered a highly scalable, proprietary solution. Let us do the second half, shifting into aggressive market strategy. That directly exploits a massive inefficiency in the current market. Now, let us deliver the ultimate financial hook, positioning us for exponential growth. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. We have engineered a highly scalable, proprietary solution that directly exploits a massive inefficiency in the current market, positioning us for exponential growth. Feel the cold, untouchable financial power in that delivery. You did not beg for money. You offered them the privilege of joining a financial revolution. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 investment framework into your reflex memory and prepare yourself for the terrifying moment when an investor suddenly attacks your idea mid-sentence in Part 6, handling the hostile interruption. In the middle of your most critical presentation, a powerful executive suddenly raises their hand and aggressively cuts you off mid-sentence. Your heart rate spikes. The entire room goes dead silent, watching closely to see how you will react. If you are an advanced English speaker, you certainly know how to politely ask for the floor back. But in a high-stakes C-suite interview or a venture capital pitch, asking for permission to speak makes you look incredibly weak. The most dominant leaders in the world do not complain when they are interrupted. They use a verbal judo move to absorb the attack, neutralize the hostility, and force the interrupter to willingly hand the power right back. If you want to learn how to instantly regain control of a hostile room without ever raising your voice, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 6 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, Handling the Hostile Interruption. Let us set the scene. You are 5 minutes into pitching your operational strategy to the board. You are just about to reveal your brilliant revenue model when a notoriously aggressive board member interrupts you. They are visibly impatient and loudly question how much money your strategy is going to cost the company up front. If you let your ego and basic English reflexes take over, you will feel disrespected. You might raise your voice slightly, frown, and state, "Please let me finish what I was saying." Let us analyze the severe political damage you just caused. While it is true that interrupting is rude, telling a billionaire or a senior director to let me finish sounds like a frustrated school teacher scolding a disruptive child. It creates a direct, confrontational standoff. Furthermore, by fighting for your right to speak, you completely ignored their underlying financial fear. The board member will instantly resent you. Their mind will close completely, and they will spend the rest of your presentation looking for ways to destroy. Why your logic? You demanded respect, but you lost the room. Now let us completely rewrite the power dynamic. Listen to how an elite C2 crisis manager handles the exact same hostile interruption. You do not show anger, you do not pause in panic, and you absolutely do not beg to finish. You maintain unbroken eye contact, offer a calm, knowing nod, and state, "I completely understand your concern regarding the burn rate. If I may just close this thought on our revenue model, it directly addresses that exact vulnerability." Notice the breathtaking psychological control in that sentence. You did not just survive the interruption, you used the attacker's own momentum to make them desperately want to hear your next sentence. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this, acknowledge and deflect technique so you can weaponize it under fire. First, look at the brilliant psychological shield. I completely understand your concern regarding the burn rate. Before you defend yourself, you must validate their fear. You instantly prove that you are not intimidated by the question. Furthermore, you use the elite financial term, burn rate, the speed at which a company spends its capital before generating positive cash flow. By precisely diagnosing their anxiety using C-level vocabulary, you instantly elevate yourself from a subordinate presenting a slide deck to a peer discussing high-level finance. Second, consider the flawless transition. If I may just close this thought on our revenue model. You do not say, "Let me finish." To close a thought is a highly sophisticated, elegant phrase. It subliminally signals to the impatient executive that you are only seconds away from wrapping up, making it psychologically very difficult for them to deny your request to continue. Finally, look at the ultimate verbal checkmate. It directly addresses that exact vulnerability. This is pure executive genius. You do not just ask to keep speaking, you promise them that the very next words out of your mouth are the cure to the disease they just complained about. A vulnerability is a critical weakness. By telling them your model directly addresses it, you turn their hostile attack into the perfect setup for your ultimate solution. You leave them with no choice but to sit back and listen to you. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master handling a hostile interruption, your tone must be completely unshakable, deeply respectful, yet fiercely authoritative. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your posture relaxed, project the calm certainty of a master negotiator, and repeat this psychological judo move after me. I completely understand your concern regarding the burn rate. Let us do the second half, shifting into elegant control. If I may just close this thought, on our revenue model, now, let us deliver the ultimate hook that forces them to listen. It directly addresses that exact vulnerability. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. I completely understand your concern regarding the burn rate. If I may just close this thought on our revenue model, it directly addresses that exact vulnerability. Feel the cold, untouchable composure in that delivery. You absorbed a direct attack, validated a billionaire, and completely regained control of the boardroom in less than 10 seconds. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 deflection framework into your reflex memory, and prepare yourself for the complex art of redefining corporate leadership in Part 7, the cultural overhaul. When you apply for a mid-level management position, the company simply wants to know if you can force a team to follow instructions. But when you step into the C-suite, the rules of leadership fundamentally change. Board members and investors do not hire executives to babysit employees. They hire executives to architect corporate culture. If your English vocabulary limits you to describing yourself as a good boss or a nice manager, you are instantly placing a very low ceiling on your career. If you want to learn the elite language of modern executive leadership, the exact phrases that signal you are capable of transforming an entire organization's DNA, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 7 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, the Cultural Overhaul. Let us set the scene. You are in the final stage of an interview for a Chief Operating Officer position. The CEO looks at you, evaluating your character, and asks one of the most revealing questions in the corporate world. How would you describe your leadership style? If you let your nerves and basic English reflexes dictate your answer, you will likely fall back on outdated, industrial-era management concepts. You might offer a safe, generic response. I am a good leader. I listen to my employees and tell them what to do. Let us analyze the Ma's. Leadership deficit you just revealed. While you think you are projecting confidence and empathy to a modern board of directors, you just described a terrifying bottleneck. Saying, I tell them what to do, implies that you are a micromanager. It means your team cannot function without your direct orders. At the executive level, you cannot individually tell hundreds or thousands of employees what to do every day. By using this basic phrasing, you have proven that your leadership style is completely unscalable. You are a supervisor, not a visionary. Now, let us completely rewrite your leadership identity. Listen to how a highly sought-after C2 executive describes their management framework. You do not talk about giving orders, and you do not talk about being good. You project the quiet, undeniable authority of a cultural architect and state. My leadership philosophy revolves around dismantling corporate silos and fostering a culture of extreme ownership, empowering teams to operate with high autonomy and strategic alignment. Notice the breathtaking scale of that vision. You did not just tell them how you manage people, you told them how you engineer high-performance organizations. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this cultural overhaul so you can weaponize it in your own career. First, look at the brilliant opening framework. My leadership philosophy revolves around dismantling corporate silos. You do not have a style, you have a philosophy, which instantly elevates your intellectual status. But the true power is in the C2 terminology. A corporate silo is a deeply negative business term describing departments that isolate themselves and refuse to share information. By using the aggressive verb, dismantling, to tear down a structure piece by piece, you declare war on corporate dysfunction. You are a unifier who destroys invisible barriers. Second, consider the core cultural injection and fostering a culture of extreme ownership. To foster means to actively cultivate and grow something. Extreme ownership is the ultimate modern leadership concept. It means creating an environment where employees never make excuses, never blame other departments, and take absolute accountability for the final result. You are promising the CEO an army of self-driven problem solvers. Finally, look at the ultimate executive paradox, empowering teams to operate with high autonomy and strategic alignment. This is the holy grail of corporate scaling. Autonomy means the freedom to make independent decisions without asking for permission. But autonomy without direction is chaos. By pairing it with strategic alignment, you guarantee that while your teams are operating freely, they are all marching in the exact same direction toward the company's ultimate goal. You have engineered a machine that runs itself perfectly. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master the language of executive leadership, your tone must be incredibly visionary, deeply grounded, and completely devoid of ego. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your posture expansive, project the intellect of a top-tier CEO, and repeat this cultural blueprint after me. My leadership philosophy revolves around dismantling corporate silos. Let us do the second half, shifting into the aggressive cultivation of accountability and fostering a culture of extreme ownership. Now, let us deliver the final, highly scalable executive promise, empowering teams to operate with high autonomy and strategic alignment. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. My leadership philosophy revolves around dismantling corporate silos and fostering a culture of extreme ownership, empowering teams to operate with high autonomy and strategic alignment. Feel the profound, architectural leadership in that delivery. You did not just answer a question, you outlined a multi-million-dollar organizational upgrade. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 management framework into your reflex memory and prepare yourself for the most nerve-wracking negotiation of your life in Part 8, the salary leverage. There is a specific, agonizing silence that falls over a boardroom when the topic of money is finally introduced. A piece of paper is slid across the desk. You look at the number, and you realize it is significantly lower than your target. If you are an advanced English learner, you know how to ask for more money. But there is a massive psychological difference between asking for a raise and leveraging a strategic compensation package. The moment you use your personal life or generic, hard work to justify your salary, you have already lost the negotiation. Elite executives do not beg for higher pay. They mathematically force the company to view their salary as a highly lucrative investment rather than an operational cost. If you want to master the cold, emotionless linguistic framework required to command top-tier compensation, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 8 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, the salary leverage. Let us set the scene. You have crushed every round of the interview for a highly critical leadership role. HR officially extends the offer, but the base salary is 20% below market value. They smile and say, "This is the top of our budget for this role." If you let your panic and basic English reflexes dictate your response, you will instinctively try to justify your worth using personal reasons. You might say, "I want a higher salary because I have a lot of experience and living expenses are high." Let us analyze the catastrophic loss of leverage you just suffered. In the high-stakes corporate world, no one cares about your living expenses, your rent, or your personal desires. By bringing up your personal needs, you instantly sound desperate, amateurish, and emotionally driven. Furthermore, arguing that you have a lot of experience is incredibly weak because it cannot be mathematically proven. You are fighting a hard financial number, their budget, with soft, emotional complaints. The HR director will simply apologize, say their hands are tied, and you will either accept a low offer or walk away with nothing. Now, let us completely rewrite the negotiation. Listen to how a highly trained C2 strategist handles the exact same lowball offer. You do not show disappointment, you do not talk about your personal life, and you completely reject their invisible budget constraints. You look the hiring manager in the eye, project the cold, unbothered certainty of a premium asset, and state, I do not negotiate against a fixed budget. I negotiate against the verifiable financial value I am bringing to the table. This compensation package must reflect the strategic leverage of the role. Notice the breathtaking shift in power. You did not ask for a favor. You established an immovable financial boundary. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this value-based negotiation so you can weaponize it for your own bank account. First, look at the brilliant opening rejection. I do not negotiate against a fixed budget. This is the ultimate power move. Companies use the word budget as a psychological cage to make you feel like there is no more money. By explicitly stating that you do not negotiate against budgets, you refuse to step inside their cage. You are telling them that their internal administrative limits are not your problem. Second, consider the flawless pivot. I negotiate against the verifiable financial value I am bringing to the table. You instantly reframe your salary from a cost to an investment. By using the highly analytical C2 phrase, verifiable financial value, you are reminding them that your work will generate measurable revenue or save the company millions. Bringing to the table is a powerful corporate idiom meaning the specific skills and assets you contribute. You are forcing them to look at the massive profits you will create, making your salary request look like a tiny fraction of the total reward. Finally, look at the ultimate executive closer. This compensation package must reflect the strategic leverage of the role. You did not say, my salary. A compensation package sounds significantly more sophisticated and comprehensive. More importantly, you used the C2 term, strategic leverage. You are removing your own ego from the equation. You are not saying you are greedy. You are stating an objective business fact. A role with this much power and impact requires a specific level of investment to function properly. You have trapped them in undeniable corporate logic. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master the salary leverage, your tone must be completely emotionless, highly analytical, and absolutely unflinching. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your posture relaxed, project the icy confidence of someone who is willing to walk away, and repeat this negotiation technique after me. I do not negotiate against a fixed budget. Let us do the second half, shifting into undeniable financial mathematics. I negotiate against the verifiable financial value I am bringing to the table. Now, let us deliver the final, immovable boundary. This compensation package must reflect the strategic leverage of the role. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. I do not negotiate against a fixed budget. I negotiate against the verifiable financial value I am bringing to the table. This compensation package must reflect the strategic leverage of the role. Feel the cold, untouchable financial authority in that delivery. You did not beg for a raise, you dictated the terms of a high-level corporate transaction. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 negotiation framework into your reflex memory, and prepare yourself for the moment you turn the interrogation around in Part 9. Reversing the interrogation. The most dangerous illusion in any high-stakes interview is believing the test is over when the panel stops asking questions. As an advanced English speaker, you might feel a massive wave of relief when the CEO finally smiles, checks their watch, and says, "Do you have any questions for us?" But make no mistake, this is not a polite conclusion. It is the ultimate test of your executive dominance. If you ask a basic, administrative question, you instantly downgrade your status from a visionary leader to a standard corporate worker. True C-suite candidates do not ask questions to gather basic HR information. They use their final questions to completely reverse the power dynamic of the room. If you want to learn how to flip the interrogation and instantly position yourself as an elite consultant diagnosing a corporate disease, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to Part 9 of the Advanced Job Interview Masterclass, Reversing the Interrogation. Let us set the scene. You are 55 minutes into a grueling interview for a senior executive position. You have answered all their questions perfectly. Now, the spotlight flips to you. The board leans back, waiting to see how your mind works when you are the one driving the conversation. If you let your exhaustion and basic English reflexes take over, you will ask a safe, mundane question just to fill the silence. You might ask, "What is a normal day like in this company? What are the working hours?" Let us analyze the catastrophic loss of status you just experienced. While these are perfectly normal questions for an entry-level employee, they are an absolute disaster for an executive. Asking about a normal day proves that you lack strategic vision. You are only thinking about your immediate physical environment. Asking about working hours is even worse. It instantly signals to the board that your primary concern is when you get to go home. You just proved that you are a subordinate looking for a comfortable job, not a leader looking to conquer a market. Now, let us completely rewrite the power dynamic. Listen to how a highly trained C2 strategist handles the exact same opportunity. You do not ask about lunch breaks, you do not ask about corporate culture, and you do not ask for permission. You lean forward, look the CEO directly in the eye, and deliver a surgical strike. What is the single most critical friction point currently preventing this division from hitting its most aggressive quarterly targets? Notice the breathtaking psychological reversal that just occurred. You are no longer a candidate begging for a job. You are an elite doctor who just walked into the emergency room asking where it hurts. Let us meticulously dissect the linguistic architecture of this consultant mindset so you can weaponize it in your next interview. First, look at the brilliant opening inquiry. What is the single most critical friction point? Basic English speakers ask about problems or challenges. In elite corporate strategy, we talk about friction. Friction is the invisible force that slows down a machine and destroys momentum. By asking for the single most critical point of friction, you are forcing the board of directors to stop feeding you marketing lies and instantly confess their deepest, most painful operational weakness. Second, consider the intense, forward-looking action currently preventing this division from hitting. You have already mentally assumed the role. You are not acting like an outsider. You are speaking as if you are already inside the building, looking at the data, and trying to solve the puzzle. You are forcing them to visualize you actively fixing their company. Finally, look at the ultimate executive standard. Its most aggressive quarterly targets. You did not ask about normal goals. By using the C2 phrase, most aggressive targets, you are planting a massive psychological anchor in the room. You are subliminally telling the board that you only operate at the highest possible level of ambition. You are demanding to know why the company is not moving as fast as you want it to move. The moment you ask this question, the entire power dynamic flips. The interviewers will suddenly find themselves explaining their failures to you, hoping that you are the savior who can fix them. Now, it is time to move your brain from passive listening to active, rhythmic speaking practice. To truly master reversing the interrogation, your tone must be intensely curious, highly analytical, and completely fearless. I want you to shadow my voice out loud right now. Keep your posture dominant, project the sharp intellect of a master consultant, and repeat this psychological checkmate after me. What is the single most critical friction point? Let us do the second. Half shifting into analytical problem solving, currently preventing this division from hitting. Now, let us deliver the final, highly ambitious standard. Its most aggressive quarterly targets. Let us put the entire executive masterpiece together. What is the single most critical friction point currently preventing this division from hitting its most aggressive quarterly targets? Feel the heavy, undeniable intellectual authority in that delivery. You did not just ask a question, you completely hijacked the interview and turned it into your own consulting session. Keep practicing this vocal delivery out loud. Lock this C2 interrogation framework into your